Happy still craft beer week, draft crafters. It's Dan. It's
and I'm
JP,
finally getting a beer.
It's 2:30 on May 19th, so we are both drinking a beer because it is the afternoon of a Tuesday fun day for you, I suppose, there, Chief. And that's how it works out sometimes when you can make things
Tipsy
happen
Tuesday.
on a day off. Tipsy Tuesday. Okay. Well, hey, as long as you're not tipsy while using yard equipment later, you'll be in good shape. And so this is also, now while this is craft beer week, and that's one of the reasons why we're drinking craft beers, it is also wrong award day because I told you I was going to take this for you. So this just popped up on the whole X feed. Ninja, right? Jackson Smith and Jigba just won Offensive Player of the Year. Except it was Defensive Player of the Year on the award that he got.
Oh, boy.
Good job, NFL. My goodness. You don't have someone quality checking that stuff. This is why.
Yeah, but he's probably
things.
going to keep that over the other one. Be like, look at that. I even got Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, I don't know. He put down there, like his little caption was, "It's getting disrespectful at this point." I'm like, well, yeah, but also now you got a one-off. You will be the only person most likely to be the Offensive Player of the Year having a Defensive Player of the Year trophy. So that's something to hang on to. Regardless of how the rest of his career goes, he will always be able to hang his hat on that one. But we're not here to talk about guys who are currently in the NFL. No, sir. This is the time of year when we decide to jump on board the bonkers idea of looking at next year's draft. And we don't even know, one, where these teams are going to finish. Two, who of the players that we're going to talk about today are actually going to stay in this draft. And plus, there's going to be guys that we haven't even thought about that are going to jump up there, too. But everyone is doing a too early look at 2027's draft. And technically speaking, we're like 2 weeks later than we were last year. So we're giving ourselves a little more time to work with. But yeah, it's just, it's the lesson in futility and ridiculousness that we all love and we're all going to do. But you and I always do this with a twist. Unlike other places that are just doing a revert, like, oh, we'll do the same draft order as last year, which has literally never happened in the history of the NFL. No, we get a little funky with that. Explain to everybody the process of how we ended up with our draft sheet.
I did. You got to go through. You got to pick your playoff teams. You know, you basically, without going through every single game, you project the season. So you pick your 14 playoff teams, 7 from each conference, seed them out, predict how those matchups would go, and then you just kind of power rank the bottom 18, if you will, based on who missed the playoffs. And we each do that. Then we average their rankings together. So it's a consensus draft order between the two of us.
Right. And a lot of them we were kind of close on. There was only one or two that were wildly different. And I think the biggest swing was you, sir, believe in Brad's Chargers a little more than I do, which is funny because I like the Chargers more than you do.
You do?
Explain to me why you believe the Chargers could hypothetically be in the AFC Championship game next year.
I just don't see a ton of roster holes, and I haven't for a while. It was, what was it, like, I think it was only like a year or so ago that I was saying I thought they could potentially make it to the Super Bowl. The team got better than this, so they're super good. But I think the problem now that they face is just staying healthy. So if they can stay healthy, I think they're fine. Like, they don't have a ton of holes on that roster. Sure, I mean, from a draft perspective, yeah, they need an edge rusher because Khalil Mack can't do it forever. But for this one specific season, I like them quite a bit. I mean, I was from the AFC, I guess, just getting way out of the left field here. I was really debating. Like, I was going into it thinking I wanted to take Buffalo. But, I started looking at rosters and whatnot, and I really feel like the Chargers and the Ravens are the two that you need to keep an eye on.
Sure.
From a roster standpoint, they should be the best.
Well, and again, I still have and I will keep doing this until they give me a reason to not hype them in the beginning of a season. But I'm still on board with Buffalo being the team to come out of the AFC. It's got to happen one of these years, right?
Yeah, and maybe that's it. Maybe I just kind of gave up because I was picking Buffalo.
No, fair.
I think I picked Buffalo last year.
Right. And I feel like Kansas City's going to have a little more of a rebound, I think, than you do as well. But for the most part, we were within 3 or 4 spots. I think the most interesting thing that I found out of your take versus mine was I have Chicago just barely creeping into the playoffs, and you have them, a little bit higher up than I do. But neither of us have Green Bay in there. We both had Green Bay just missing.
Dude, and I that's another thing. Going into this little exercise, I thought for sure I was going to take 3 teams from the NFC North, Detroit, Chicago,
Same.
and Green Bay into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just started looking at it, and I was like, well, there's no way. Like, I have Dallas winning the East, and I was like, I can't project Philly out of this thing.
Right.
So now you just run out of spots.
Mm-hmm. And that's the adventure. Because, again, I was surprised when I saw both Green Bay and San Francisco, as of May, not on my list of teams that are going to be making the playoffs. So it should be a lot of fun. But all that to say, we did agree on who should have the first pick next year, sir.
You should do that because I don't have those anymore. You should say, like, if we agreed on that spot as we go.
Yeah, I will. I will do that. We didn't agree on a lot of them, but we both very much agreed that the Miami Dolphins are likely picking number 1 next year. And no offense to Malik Willis, but you get 1 year to prove yourself, sir, because they're going to take a quarterback.
Yeah, they're going to take a quarterback. I mean, here's the thing. They made it to where I think, don't quote me on this, they can get out of the Malik Willis contract if they want. And even then, it's only 2 years. So even if they take I need a sip of beer. What am I doing?
Yeah. Right? There you go. I think it's a 3-year deal they can get out of after 2. I'm going to look that up real quick while you're talking about who we're going to have.
But either way, I guess all I'm saying is even if they take a quarterback, even if Willis does okay, they could sit their quarterback if they wanted to. I don't know that will be the case, but anyways, I'll kill the suspense here. Miami, my team, we're picking for our respective teams. And I will say this, I did a little bit of a hybrid of what I would do / what could happen type thing. This isn't a full-on what I would do, and it's definitely not a full-on what I think could happen. It's a blur in the line. It's a little
gray. You also
gray.
want to remind people, it's May.
Yes. But, so I probably have a different QB1 if you've listened to one of the shows we did already for this new season. I got Julian Sand going 1. Sure, there's a world where he could return to college, but and we might have. I mean, yeah, he could return, but he's going to have enough games started where he won't have to. So
no, he'll have 2 seasons.
I'm sorry. I look at what he did last year, and that's better than any of the other quarterbacks had done, and it's at elite competition. So yeah, Julian Sand.
Right,
Miami.
Yeah, and again, he'll be 21-ish. Or sorry, almost 22 when the draft rolls around next year. So that's a perfectly fine age. He's not going to be too young. It should be interesting to see who's going to come out because again, we've talked about this quarterback class. We will continue to talk about this quarterback class ad nauseum throughout the course of this year,
and you'll see why
them don't come out again. Yeah, until half of them don't come out again. So we did not agree on this next one. I actually have Arizona at 2, and then you had Arizona at 3, but we're splitting hairs.
Who do I have at 2?
Because you had Tennessee at 2, which I had at 3.
Oh, okay.
So we had Tennessee, and we agree on the bottom 3 teams, just maybe not quite in the same order, but I only have like a game between them anyways, so that's easy enough to flip-flop when you come to the NFL.
Did you go project the records or something?
I did, but I didn't do it in a way that's like accurate. So I'm pretty sure if I added it all up, I would be way off. But I just kind of went through and ripped them what I think. And there's a handful of teams that I think are going to be pretty bad. There's a whole bunch in the middle, and then there's a few really good ones. And that seems to be how the NFL plays out every year.
You'll have to let me know if we had the same 14 playoff teams.
We didn't. I think we were we might have. I'll have to look at that again. I think we were pretty darn close. But we'll see how that all breaks down. We did have, again, the top 3. In Arizona, I ended up putting it 2 instead of Tennessee, even though they technically tied in our little thing. But I feel like looking at those 2 teams, if those 2 teams played next year, I feel like I'd give Tennessee a tiny bit of an edge over Arizona. Like, be one of those, like, I'll take the home team kind of a thing. But so Arizona at 2, Jacoby Brissett, who's holding out right now for a contract, which he's not going to get. Let's be honest here. Gardner Minshew, much as I love the Jorts, probably isn't their long-term answer. Carson Beck could surprise people, but we're basing this off of what we know right now, and it really feels like they're going to be in the quarterback market next year. And Dante Moore played lights out last year throughout most of the season, and is a guy who could very well be in the conversation for the number 1 quarterback as well. I think that it's a more or less a 2-3 horse race when it comes to the top tier of the quarterback group for next year. And Dante Moore, I feel like fits a lot of what they like to do out there in the LaFleur scheme. So could be a great spot for him to go to, even if Arizona's still a few players away from being a Super Bowl contender.
All right, well, that puts Tennessee up here next. I'm not going to lie. This was actually tough for me. It really, really was. Initial thought, right going into this, like, easy spot for Simmons, edge rusher from Texas, right? Let's do it. It very well could then be the pick.
Wouldn't be a bad pick.
I just then I was like, oh shit! Right before I submitted the pick to you, if you will, I was like, dude, Smith, wide receiver, Ohio State, he's probably going to be my number one player in this draft. We'll see. Sure. So it's just like I have to do it. And then there's also the irony of, Tate, hey, here comes Smith again.
Yeah, like I texted you, man.
It's kind of fun.
Tate's, he's only going to have to be a number one for one season, maybe. And then he's going to be slapped right back into that number two role where he's going to excel. And those teammates get to have fun again.
Just think about how, perfect that would be for, trying to ensure that Cam Ward works out.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he will have no excuses at that point. There's no doubt about that. And again, he may have to score a bunch of points.
I mean, sure, there's still no running back.
Rusher,
but
yeah.
No, I mean, Singleton, I say that, but Singleton was a guy that I was super high on. He just completely fell off a cliff last year from what he did the year prior.
We'll see which version of him shows up this year. But again, there's path to playing time for him too. And this is where it gets fun because we are projecting based off of needs right now, which we know we're going to change because there's free agency before we get to anything else. Guys are going to get hurt. Guys are going to pop up that haven't yet. And that's where it gets fun for us. New Orleans is next at 4. And dude, here's the thing. If they're picking at 4, it's probably because they're somewhere in the 5-12-ish range, 6-11 maybe at best, which means they technically take a little bit of a step back after last year is kind of where I have them slotting at. And that is why I'm looking at this team. And I actually texted you this, it doesn't feel like they're going to stick with Tyler Shuff if if they have another bad year this year when they're picking 4th and they can take somebody like, I don't know, maybe the grandson of the Saints, favorite son at quarterback. Arch Manning going to the Saints is just beautiful. Beautiful symmetry for the league, right? And again, going to a franchise that has a lot of ties to Archie would just be perfect for marketing, for everything along those lines. Arch might not be stoked about it outside of the nostalgia tie-in to his dad. He'll have 2 good tackles, and he'll have some injury-prone wide receivers. But again, this is an interesting spot because, like you texted me, this could be a thing where the reason isn't Shuff. So maybe they want to run with him again because guys get hurt, whatever, and so they still think they have a guy there. But I really feel like a younger Arch Manning who's got a lot of runway to continue to improve and has a better athletic profile than Tyler Shuff, I'm sorry, he just does, without the injury history, is going to be a more appealing pick for them. I could see them going in a different direction if Shuff, they can convince him Shuff isn't the reason, and they end up in this 4 spot. But I feel like if they're picking down here, it's because the season didn't go well. They're going to take Arch Manning.
Yeah, I mean, they could. They could. It sounds crazy because, I guess I just want to highlight that I want to make sure it's not a situation because you and I were not Tyler Shuck fans. So I don't want to feel like we're forcing it because he did do way better than either of us thought he would. And everybody seems to be really high on him. But I don't know.
They're higher on Arch. They just they're higher on Arch. And it sucks for Shuff if that's the case. But again, like I said, if he has a good season, they're probably more like 8-9 or 9-8, and they're not in position to draft him anyways. I'm banking on him having a average at best season, and the whole rest of the team around him isn't good enough to keep him from scoring points, and they're going to be in a rough spot.
Yeah, totally agree. So I guess all I would say, and this isn't even my team, so it doesn't matter, is they very well could be picking here, and if it's due to injuries because their wide receiver room's high risk, and it's not due to Tyler Shuck, then you could still have Arch Manning going in this spot because somebody would trade to go here. You know what I mean? So even if it's not New Orleans, it's somebody. But
right. Yeah, and we're definitely not doing trades. Although I did find it interesting that both of us had New Orleans 5th on the list, but because of the other teams we had around them, they ended up in 4. So it's kind of funny.
Sweet.
Because I had the Jets at 4, but you had the Jets at 8 because you believe the Jets will have at least a slightly better season than I do.
The Jets are a super stacked potential roster now, minus the quarterback.
Sure.
They've got a vet who looked terrible last year, but he's on an incredibly more talented team now. But dude, just think of where the Jets could. They have 3 first-round picks in this that we're doing today.
Right. Yeah, the Jets can do whatever they want this next year. They could
turn this thing around so quick.
It's good. Well, and that's so the point.
Good. They're going to do
this. The list that I have
crazy.
right now.
I think they are going to do the same damn thing
Oh, the
the
Patriots.
same type turnaround as Detroit. No, when we traded
Detroit. Okay,
Stafford
gotcha.
and got all the picks and nailed them, it looks like they're nailing all these extra picks that they have. And I'm saying it's just crazy because you got the coach from Detroit too, who went through that whole process too. So if he stays, it's wild.
And again, when you look at what happened with Detroit, they had that bad first year. They started off with a very rough second year and then turned it on and ended up respectable at the end of the second year.
Which is going to, I'm telling you, I'm projecting it's going to be the same thing.
Of the teams that I put where I put in my list, that is the one, the Jets are the one that I think had the best potential to be better than I had them at. That being said, we got them they're picking at 5 right now because even though you still only had them at 8, let's be honest. You didn't have them like making the playoffs.
Sure.
So if they are sitting there at 5, they're taking a quarterback. And I realize that this is 4 quarterbacks in the top 5 picks. Spoiler alert, we're not done drafting quarterbacks in this first round. And because of the teams that need quarterbacks, the way we're looking at the seasons playing out, there's going to be a bunch of guys coming up in the top half of this draft. And one of those guys, this is where it gets interesting, though. I really do feel like Moore and Manning right now are kind of in that top tier. And then there's another tier below them of guys that are very good and close, but not quite there. And it's eye of the beholder on where you want to put these next few guys, because we had the debate about this. Both these names are going to come up pretty soon. But I went with Darian Mensah, partially because I feel like he's got another year in the quarterback finishing school that apparently is Miami right now, with what they did with Cam Ward and Carson Beck. I do feel like he probably plays a little more of the style that the Jets would want in a quarterback, where he's not as much of he's not a runner. He's not a Justin Fields type, but he's a creator. He's a guy who can do things off platform if he needs to. And he showed when he played with a really suspect Duke offensive line for the most part last year, outside of my boy Brian Parker. He did all right. He was able to move around and create things. So
just got to find a way for Parker to get in here, huh?
Come on, man. You know that. A bit of a stretch maybe for some people to see him here, but I do think he's in that next tier of quarterbacks. So he goes at 5 to the Jets.
I have him as my QB6 on my board.
Mm-hmm. That's my point. I think he's in that grouping. So, I don't think you're too far out of the realm of possibility with any of the next 3 or 4 guys. What's Vegas doing?
Well, Vegas, this is another super easy one for me because while your teams are, I had one team take a quarterback, but your teams are gobbling them up. So, and I didn't need one here because the Raiders, just got Mendoza and they have Kirk Cousins and they have a partial owner who can probably still play. At least it looks like he can. So they're doing all right.
Throw it out.
But yeah, I mean, this was Simmons, edge rusher, slam, freaking dunk. Yeah, I know they got Kwity Paye. I know they got Crosby back, but I mean, the Giants have proven to everyone that you can just keep taking them and figure it out. But Kwity Paye, I mean, Simmons is an incredibly more talented prospect than Kwity Paye was, and
true.
Crosby, getting a little bit older, coming off from the injury,
but also how long he's hanging around.
So sure,
are they going to try to trade him again?
Yeah, who knows? So, but even if he does, awesome, because I absolutely love the guy. I hope he stays there. You know what I mean? But I want to see him play with Simmons.
Right.
And
Simmons would love to play with
rotate him and keep him healthy. Put it this way, that's another angle. Maybe getting an additional edge rusher helps keep Crosby healthier and extend his career a little more too.
Look, you can always go harder if you only have to play 60% of the snaps than 100% of the snaps. It just is what it is. There's a reason why teams love doing that on the defensive line. So this is where we first had our bit of fun because we had to remind ourselves that teams traded first-round picks already. So we had the Colts taking a quarterback here, except the Colts don't have a first-round pick because they decided to give that up when they grabbed Sauce.
Which tore up my pick that I was planning on giving Carolina.
Oops, we'll get to that in a second. But the Jets are picking again at 7 here, and so the Jets have a path to 2 top 10 picks right now, depending on how the season plays out. It might not end up being that way. I feel like the Jets could actually end up in a very similar position to where they were this year, where they're in a top 5-ish pick, they're going to have a mid pick and then a late pick, depending on how things play out. But the Jets at this point, because they got their quarterback, can go a different route. And look, you got to replace Sauce at some point, right? So why not replace him with the top corner on the board and Leonard Moore?
Dude, they just suggested this one. They slam dunk won that Sauce trade because Moore. Oh, yeah. I have Moore as a better cornerback prospect than I had Sauce, and I like Sauce a lot. And then you also get Sadiq.
Exactly. You basically turned him into 2 picks, and that's where it gets fun because it's always projecting. Because you get, we got 2 first-round picks. Yeah, but you got to nail them. That's what the whole debate with Dallas last year with Micah Parsons was: getting rid of Micah Parsons, but who do you get for him? And I still think the jury's out a little bit. I know you think Dallas won that trade. Obviously, it depends on how he comes back from the injury, but that's the thing. This definitely looks good for the Jets right now. So again, top corner and then a top 4 quarterback. It's a good start. Cleveland's up next, and this is where C.J. Carr ended up because he was going to go and stay in Indianapolis, in Indiana, coming out of Notre Dame, but instead he just jumps across the top of the state, shoots over I-90, I-80, and ends up as a Brown because, of course, if Cleveland's picking in this spot, they're still going to need a quarterback. I know Deshaun Watson had just said something today, actually, saying that he'd be open to coming back next year. I was like, yeah, but I don't think Cleveland is. Pretty sure Cleveland's not open to you coming back. It's certainly not at anywhere near the number you had from your last contract there, buddy boy. And again, this is a double Achilles tear. You're telling me this guy's going to come back in his early 30s and be anything resembling who he was with Houston before everything went south for the guy? That is not out of the realm of possibility, but it's also a long shot. And C.J. Carr played very well last year, admittedly at Notre Dame, which is super annoying because he's a Michigan, legacy kid, but at least his brother's doing all right. But again, played really well last year. Very much a straight pocket passing kind of guy. I think Todd Monken can have some fun with him. I think he'd operate really well in the type of offense that Cleveland should be running with a Monken style in there. So again, I have
Carr as my quarterback 4 in this class for the time being.
Well, right, and this could be the quarterback for Cleveland, which we've been saying for 25 years. But this could be the quarterback for Cleveland going forward. We'll see what happens for them there. All right, Carolina, who's super salty. What are they doing?
There. Well, they stay. They really wanted more, but we stayed at the same position. Still went cornerback. Robinson, the 4th from Georgia. Dude, I like this cornerback class. I mean, I'm curious. I can't even remember if we had any more going, which is kind of crazy. We had one more going, I think, which is wild.
Yeah,
I think
we have 2 more going.
I feel like 5 could maybe go in this based on how I feel right now. We'll see. But Robinson, awesome corner. Him and Moore are definitely the top 2 for me going into this thing, which is why I was comfortable giving them both in the top 10 pick range. So we'll see. I love it. What do we got for Atlanta?
Solid size, 4 picks. Yeah, good times right there for him. Hopefully we can double up again this year. Well, Atlanta, looking at their draft, I mean, presuming that James Pierce comes back and doesn't make himself, any more trouble for himself off the field, I don't think edge rusher is going to be a need for them. But boy, they could probably use somebody to knock Juwan Taylor out of the starting lineup, considering you and I have been saying for years that man should not be starting in the NFL. I mean, I'd love to get a hug from him. He's really good at hugging people, but it doesn't work when you're on the field. So, offensive tackle, Carter Smith from Indiana, your favorite and mine coming into this season. He was a plug-and-play guy. I don't care where you put him. Whatever team takes him, he will start for you day one, and you'll be just fine.
Yep. And you super pissed Minnesota off. So basically, with the Jets, you stole the pick for Carolina. And then right here, you did it again with Atlanta. You stole the pick for Minnesota. But
loving it.
Again, I'm still high enough on Seierfeld, tackle from Ohio State, to where I don't care where you see him on most boards at this point in the year. He's going to move up on every board. I'm telling you, he just is.
Sure.
So I'm fine with putting him at the 11th spot to Minnesota. Fits a position of need. Still a good pick for them.
Well, and again, we want to make sure people understand, like when we talk about those boards, he's in the 40s right now. So there's a really good chance he moved himself up into that top 10 conversation, depending on how this season goes for him. He'll have a high-profile opportunity, as always, at Ohio State. Giants are up next.
Oh, it is me. Oh,
yeah.
Geez. This, nice I skipped completely over this. So there is 4 corners going. Yeah, this is Xavier Brown, cornerback, Bama. Another awesome player. I'm telling you, this cornerback class is stacked. We still got one more coming in this. I do believe that by the time the draft rolls around, you could see easily more than 4. But, dude, I still don't. The top 12, we've got like 6 quarterbacks and 3 cornerbacks.
Yep, it's an interesting
year.
I
don't think it's crazy.
No,
I just don't. I mean, that's a good pick. Fits a position of need for the Giants. They're getting better as we go. I did contemplate defensive lineman here. I did. I almost went with Moton. And I know he's not the consensus one. I mean, I think that Oklahoma is the consensus one, but I think Moton's probably my. Yeah. But no,
Moton's
perfect pick.
Third for a lot of people right now, but yeah. There you go. And that obviously is a huge help for them. I think they've been needing corner help for a minute as well. Pittsburgh's at 13.
Pittsburgh, dude, we got another quarterback going here. This is my quarterback 5. So now it's 6 quarterbacks. Sorry, it wasn't 6. It was only 5 prior to that. And this is a curious one. This is 100% a projection. This is Drew Mestemaker. I mean, allegedly super young guy. Who knows what day he was born? Anything I can find says that he was born in January of 2006. It's not a confirmed birthday. Yeah, he is young, but he's also super. He must have started college at North Texas, like really young or something, because I think he's at 20 right now.
Yeah, the thing about Drew Mestemaker is he's a true junior this year. And also, he didn't really start in high school either. So last season was his first real year starting as a quarterback, and he threw for 4,300 yards and 34 touchdowns. It's a good start. Mind you, again, that's at North Texas. So that's where
69% completion percentage. So here's the thing. I have Julian Sayin and Dante Moore firmly at 1 and 2. Right, saying 77% completion percentage. It's insane. Dante Moore 72. It's still insane. Anything in the 70s, insane.
Yep.
He 69% for Mestemaker. I know it was North Texas. It is what it is, but I don't know. When you throw for over basically 4,400 yards, 34 touchdowns, 9 picks, only at 69% completion percentage, it's good. Yeah, I don't mind projecting him and putting him in the first round. He's flashed enough.
He has a great
If he can do that at one of your like soft spot schools in Okie State, like you're gonna be one happy. He's gonna move up your board. This is gonna be a guy you're gonna be pounding the table for if he works out.
100% if that happens that way. But again, it's a huge step up for him and basically the entire roster. Like they took half of North Texas with him, kind of like Cignetti did with James Madison moving up. And then I think the guy who just took over at UCLA did the same thing with James Madison again. This past year. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but so that's a good fit for them because, again, Pittsburgh needs an option. And while a lot of people are talking about Drew Allar being that guy next year potentially because they're basically tearing down his mechanics, people were absolutely crushing Allar for the footwork video that somebody posted on social media last week. And then it comes out they're literally turning him down to a quarter speed to work on his footwork and mechanics. So that totally tracks and makes sense. So that's I think that's Pittsburgh's plan right now. But again, if they're sitting there at 13 and a quarterback they like is there, it's not out of the realm of possibility to see 6 quarterbacks going in the top 13 picks next year. Wild. Now, again, that's if these teams line up where they are. Next on the list at 14 is Washington, and this is where it's wildly entertaining.
I was glad you made this pick because he's definitely my number 2 player at his position, and I didn't think you would have him.
I will let you talk about him in 1 second. The reason why I find it funny is we had 4 teams tied at the 11 spot.
Oh, wow.
It was really funny. The Giants, Minnesota, Washington, and Pittsburgh were all tied at the same spot. And so I just sort of shuffled them around a little bit. I feel like Minnesota is the worst of those 4 teams next year, then the Giants, then Pittsburgh. And Washington, even though we both had them at 11, they're at 14. So that's why it's just kind of funny. That being said, edge rusher. Edge rusher still needs a need for them. They spent a bunch of money this year. Don't care. I think they did not spend it wisely at all. They are obviously hoping that they will get a big boost out of Joshua Josephs and that he can step up and be the guy for them. But even with Joshua Josephs, you're still not looking at a great setup of linebackers or of edge rushers. They just don't have them right now. And so as a result, why not take a guy with some serious upside and has a great potential this year to be, a lot of people's edge rusher too, like he is for you. And that's Yonze Pierre. Talk about that man for me.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he's edge rusher 2 or not yet. It's basically Simmons is 1 for sure. Most people are putting Stewart at 2, if not 1, and I get it. That's a traits projection type thing. He's got that super ideal edge rusher frame. The height, the weight, all of that. I get it, but he just hasn't put it all together. He hasn't done it yet. So he'll be
most
in
guys
my
in South
top,
Carolina,
right? So he'll be in probably my top 4 just based off from traits going into the season. We'll see what he does. But when I look at edge rusher 2, I mean, I'm trying to look at some production, and sure, John Henry Daly's up there. His production is off the charts with Utah. He's older. He was with Utah. He's with Michigan now. He's also coming off from an injury. Can't do that. Clev Lubin, kind of like a special fit. What's he say? I don't know. We'll see how old he is. But
he's not old, but he's just been around college forever.
It feels that way. But his pressure percentages are 21.26 pressure percentage. It's insane.
He's going to be our Derek Moore next year, I think.
I'm just trying to figure out who is in contention for like the edge rusher 2-3. And the two guys there's really three guys that keep catching my eye. Yanzi Pierre, Prince Will, Umamiela, and Anthony Smith. And I've kind of narrowed it down. I like Anthony Smith a ton. Okay.
Right.
But I just got to figure out, to your point, like what his weight is. I don't think he's listed in the 280s. I don't think so. I think he's like,
we've seen that before.
I think he's like high 260s. Maybe we'll call it 270. Wasn't
Keldrick Falk listed at like 285 and came in at like 260 or 265 at the combine?
It's basically the same situation is what I think.
Only you like Smith better.
Yes, he actually plays well. I mean, Smith had 12 and a half sacks, okay, and 17 and a half tackles for loss. Like that in the Big Ten. That is
if he
really,
duplicates
really
that again
good.
This year, he'll be up the list.
Yeah, right. But Pierre, I'm just looking at him, man, and he's 8 sacks, 14 and a half tackles for a loss. But you look at some of the percentages, the poop ratio. Haven't talked about that this year. The poop ratio is okay. It's at a 4.51. We're looking at some of those other guys. Like Simmons is a 7.48. Lubin, the undersized guy, 8.31. Of course, like you said, maybe our Derek Moore. Daly, 6.81. But you look at Dylan Stewart, the guy people freak out about, 3.94. Right. Pierre's in the exact same conference. He put up more sacks at a better rate. Like he's beaten him in every category.
Except the looks.
That's fair.
I mean, but again, it's not like he's a slouch. I think he's like 6'3", 240 or something like that. He'll be fine. Size-wise, I'm not weird about him.
I know that we're talking about Pierre, and I kind of talked about the whole damn edge rusher class, but Simmons is definitely my number one, but I'm kind of wondering, like, if early on Anthony Smith is going to, like, he's definitely the guy I'm, like, stoked to, like, get into the tape on. Now. I don't know if he's my favorite. He's just the guy I'm the most curious about. Like, I want to dig into him big time.
That's a good category. All right. But he's not the guy going here. It's Yanzi Pierre. The practical upshot of this is if Washington is picking at about this point in the first round, they have to go edge. That's like the biggest glaring weakness that team has, in my opinion. Jacksonville's at 15. Yep.
Oh,
we're only one spot off on these
my notes timed out. Oh, this is where I went Moton. Little low moving cost for him. Yeah, I have D-line as one of the top needs for Jacksonville. I mean, I was exploring some other options as well, but they just kind of hit me, like this matches a need. This is a guy who's got some definite pass rushing skills from the interior. Right. I like it a lot. It wasn't like my top guy. Like I think I was leaning like one of the cornerbacks originally, but they went like this could have been maybe a Robinson. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you kind of we forgot about the trade. Then the corners got moved up, so I like it.
Right.
Moton from D tackle from Miami. I thought he could have come out this past year. I think he was old enough. I had him on my board forever.
Mm-hmm. He's another guy. He has played 4 seasons. Technically, I mean, mind you, his freshman year he didn't do much of anything, but he played actual time the last 3 years. And these are guys who they're taking the money to stay.
My 3 guys that I was curious about last year that I thought were all going to go pro, and 2 of them did, but that nobody was talking about were, my Oklahoma guy, my Missouri guy, and boom, Moton.
There you go. Well, good. At least you have one more to talk about this year. That makes it fun.
Yeah.
One more pick before we take a break. Dallas from Green Bay. This is the other half of the Micah Parsons trade. And Dallas, I mean, take it away, bud.
Oh, yeah, it's me again. Well, we share the team. Dallas. We shared the Green Bay.
Yeah, you had Dallas.
The Micah Parsons.
Yeah, we share Green Bay.
Yeah.
So we can share the joy that Green Bay isn't picking in the first round, but
we can. And Dallas did win this trade, especially the player that I gave him. I had struggled for a second with Dallas on what exactly I wanted to do.
Right.
And I actually did these 2 out of order, so I guess I'm going to ruin your break because I'm going to do these 2 picks back to back. We're going to do the 17. All right,
fine, we'll do both of
them. Because I currently have Trevor Locke. I don't know how you say his name. Iowa offensive tackle above Jordan Seaton, the tackle from LSU. So if I were doing it, what I would do, I probably would have given Colorado. Dallas Locke. But it just felt like Jordan Seaton is a guy that's getting way more buzz You know what I mean? He was
Mm-hmm.
getting, like you said, Colorado. Yep. I think he was the number 1 player in his class too. So, guys just had the hype train around him the entire time, and I got to think that if he makes us all
huge
look
opportunity
good in the SEC, then if being the number 1 player in his class, he could end up being the number 1 tackle taken, which is why I went ahead and put him over lock here. But there you go. So I did it for Dallas, and then obviously I just San Francisco, super. I don't know. Can Trent Williams play forever?
I mean, maybe there's a chance, but
I know didn't they just give him a contract extension, like a
2-year
deal
extension,
too? So I don't know, but even then they'll be ready. I mean, if they have a lot groomed by him, they'll be ready and it'll be perfect. So there you go. We got the top 17 done.
Good fit.
Take a snap.
Why don't you talk about a beer you finally had?
It's the last
because you haven't
one.
drank beer for like a month and a half.
I know. This is still the last one of the 6-pack I bought. I don't know how long ago when you were telling me, because I was saying Tangerine Space Machine is my favorite space machine.
Right.
And you said, what about the Uber Space Machine? So it's the last one of the 6-pack. Man, I don't know what it is. Maybe if I were sipping this like in the fall, like late summer,
I'll give you that.
Early fall, like maybe I'd be vibing with it a lot more. But I would totally trade this for the Tangerine Space Machine. It's just, it's so much more, especially as hot as it is outside. It sounds refreshing. Like,
an 80-degree day.
Like, So I don't know.
Story.
I just, for whatever it's worth, I just don't, and this is crazy coming from me, I don't know if hazy IPAs should be barrel aged.
Ooh, okay. Fair. No, I understand that.
I feel like it's 2 awesome worlds that you're trying to bring together, and I just don't think they play well together.
Yeah, and again, I think it's because of the way that hazies, like I had a black hazy the other day. I think that's another thing where people are trying a little too hard to make fetch happen, if you will, back from the Mean Girls line, right? They're trying too hard to make something happen.
I do like black IPAs, but a black hazy sounds like it won't play well either. Yeah, that doesn't sound like it plays well.
And again, it was an interesting thing, because hazies are designed to be less bitey, less complex to an extent,
refreshing,
more fruity, more refreshing,
crisp,
more pop it and enjoy,
citrus,
and barrel aged and hazy. They're just 2 different sides. I'm not saying you can't do it well, but
this is boozy and sweet, and not like the crisp, light, refreshing. Right. You know what I mean? And that's, I don't know. Maybe it's just because that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want. Like I said, maybe it's the timing for the year. That could be the biggest piece.
So again, so there's your reminder, by the way. If you want to try a barrel-aged hazy, make sure you do it when it's not 80 degrees out. So could be good. I went with something much lighter than that because I stopped off at Rashee's today because I need to replenish the beer supply now that we finally drank it all down. And peanut butter cups. He says hi, by the way. And then I went with Yutori. So this is a beer from Hop Butcher. Right? Exactly. So the reason why I grabbed this is from Chicago. And then Bedford Park, I believe. The reason why I grabbed this is it is a Super Sazer hopped dry rice lager. So it's a hopped rice lager. And the reason why I went with this is I've been seeing, I had a 50-50 rice Pilsner one at that Hop Hog place last week. And I've been seeing, I'm curious if the rice lager is this year's thing that places are trying to mess with. Because again, this is the rice lagers are much more of a Japanese style. So if you've had a Kirin or an Asahi or a Sapporo, stuff like that, those huge beers, or you put it in a whiskey.
Louisiana.
Let's not forget JT Mellick, right? Let's not forget JT Mellick, who's done amazing things with rice in their own right. But the beer on the rice side of things is usually more of a Japanese thing. And it feels like I'm seeing more than, maybe it's like the whole, you drive a red car, so you see more red cars kind of a thing. But I feel like I'm seeing more rice beers, so I thought I'd give this one a shot. And I tell you what, usually those kind of beers are fine. And a fine like baseline. We're going to get to whatever you just went gosh about in a second. But I will tell you this, dude, having the hops involved kind of puts it halfway between an IPA and a lager. And I'm okay with this. Like, it's not a spectacular beer, but this is gonna get a 3 because it is refreshing. It is easy. It still has a tiny bit of something going on that's not just a basic lager. And the rice thing makes me happy. And this is a good one to drink on an 80-degree day. Let me tell you that much. What are you oh-goshing about?
It's a little bit of foreshadowing, but it's gonna make our pick that we gave KC look even more intelligent. But Rashee Rice has got to go to jail.
Ooh.
He violated his probation.
Oh my goodness. What, dude, I have said this before. I will say it again right now. Kansas City, you have to pay for people to be around Rashee all the time. Make it his friends that will actually, do what you want him to do instead of what he wants to do. But he has shown multiple times he might not be a bad kid, but he makes bad choices. Like, this is not hard. Don't smoke weed until you're off probation. Regardless of what you might think about weed being legal, illegal, whatever, there's a set of things not to do. Just don't do it. It's like a toddler.
So good.
It's like, don't touch that.
He's so good.
Oh my goodness. Now, I'm sure he's going to be able to go to jail over the summer in time to not miss any game time potentially, but this story literally just came out. 30 days in jail, so they'll get it out of the way before it affects the season. But this just once again points out that you can't count on this kid to not do dumb things. Oh my goodness. Go ahead. What else do you want to say about Rashee?
I'm done.
I'm trying to pull up his contract really, really quick because I'm like trying to figure out how much, because he's still on his rookie deal. This is his last year's rookie deal. Can Kansas City extend him with the way he keeps making interesting choices and the injuries?
No. Here's what you do if you're Kansas City.
Oof.
You seriously, you let him play that out. And then worst case scenario, like if he comes and plays shows all the talent that we know that he's got, he looks good. You tag him, see if he can keep it between the lines for at least one whole year before you even flirt with giving him any type of contract.
And again, to his credit, he is now old enough for his prefrontal cortex to be developed. So hopefully that'll help out if he hasn't already messed it up by taking too many shots to the head. But this was because, he had the probation from the reckless driving thing a couple years ago. And then instead of, again, just not.
And somehow he got in that fight, too, where that all got dropped.
Right. Again, so this comes back to, and that's part of the challenge, too. Look, let's be honest. There is a different standard that people can get away with when they have enough money and notoriety. I'm not talking about football players, I'm talking about in general across the board. You got a little more leeway usually what you can get away with. And unfortunately, some people take that to mean I can just do what I want. John Morant styles like that. Guys who just make choices that it's like, did you think about this before you did it? Rashee, look, again, I have had a puff in my day. I'm not saying marijuana's bad, but I am saying there are rules you need to follow, and you're choosing not to. Well, not to get ahead of ourselves, Kansas City is in one more pick, but first things first, Tampa Bay. What did they do before we get to what Kansas City was up to?
Tampa, man, I didn't know what I was going to do with Tampa at all, and then it just kind of hit me. Like I was sitting there thinking about it. It's like, I don't know. I got nothing. I was like, I need to go look at their roster and figure out, reassess their needs because they hit the top two. You know what I mean? Yeah. They went
even
for
if
the edge
like
rusher. They went for the linebacker. Fair. But right as I was going to look at it, I was like, you know what? Absolutely not. Who did I mock to Tampa Bay in my mock? I was giving them Kenyon Sadiq, so they had had a big body guy to feel like the red zone threat type thing. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stick at tight end. And then the debate was which tight end, because there's two in this class that actually look like they could be really good. But I went with Green, man.
The monster
Johnson,
of a man.
Yeah, like 6'7", 230,
245-ish,
240, somewhere in there. But I think he had like 8 touchdowns this past year.
Yeah, because just pop the ball up, he's going to get it.
Yeah, you could put him or you could put Johnson there. I wouldn't be fussed. They're pretty close. I went Green.
Right. Yeah, not a bad
choice.
Choice.
Now we can talk about what the foreshadowing was for KC.
Right, and this was obviously not something we planned because literally we did this earlier today, and it just came out 5 minutes ago that this was what's going to happen to him. And again, we don't believe Rashee Rice is going to be missing out on game time. He'll do the 30 days. They'll figure something out to where he's not missing games or practice or whatever. He'll do it in a few weekends over the summer or something. They always cut deals with people if they feel like it. That's kind of how our legal system works. That being said, even with Rashee Rice on this team and healthy and playing all the time, this is still a kind of questionable wide receiver room, right? They have potential with the guys who are in there, maybe. But you're also believing that guys like Tyquan Thornton and Xavier Worthy are going to up their game. Point is, There's no one on this roster aside from Rashee Rice that makes you nervous at all, unless you're talking about how fast Xavier Worthy is. He's fast. There's no doubt about that. But there's no one else that really makes you nervous from a receiving standpoint. So giving Patrick Mahomes some guys that can go up there and get the football is a good idea. And I think, at least right now, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure we both have Cam Coleman as our number 2 wide receiver right now. But
yes.
Coleman, who played at Auburn with questionable quarterbacking. Let's be honest. Now he's going to walk into Texas, where this kid is primed to put up big numbers this year. And if he does, he will be in this conversation. Maybe it's a little too low for him by the time he gets there. But Kansas City gets to take the benefit of this case. And Coleman should be a guy that can step in and be your number 2 at the very worst to start off, even as a rookie right there. Denver's at 20.
Denver is at
close
20.
to the same.
And,
Denver I had at 21. Denver you had at 23, but because of how we had the teams play out for the playoffs, Denver's at 20.
There you go. I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do with Denver, and the crazy thing was I had to go look at their depth chart, and they had more holes than what I had realized. Like for a minute, I was because I was tempted to go offensive tackle for a minute too. Mm-hmm. I was thinking Gooseby because I mean Bowles is older than you think. He's like 34,
right?
You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with,
but not great.
He played well last year. I think he PFF'd in like 77 or something like that.
Right, which for me is good.
Anyways, so I was tempted to go that route, right? I was tempted to go a few different directions. I was tempted to go tight end. I almost gave him Johnson from Oregon as well and had 2 tight ends going fairly closely together.
Yeah, but Justin Jolly's going to light it up.
Yeah, and I don't think that they've fully given up on Evan Ingram yet either, which is why ultimately I settled on this. And I know that they just gave Alex Singleton the 2 or 3 year extension this past year, but you still need 2 linebackers. And Singleton, I think, is 32. Don't quote me on that. I think he's 32 years old right now. So you still have to plan for the future. And I'll admit, it's kind of crazy, especially me being me. Out of all the positions, linebacker is the one I've done the least amount of research on. But
I don't think it's popping for you like it did last year.
But there is one guy who was the number 1, I think he was the number 1 linebacker in his class as well. When he came out, he's a true junior this year. Sammy Brown for Clemson. Finally a Clemson player that I think that I'm going to support.
That you're on board with.
As a freshman, he played in 14 games. He had 80 tackles and 11 and a half tackles for loss and 5 sacks, right? This past year as a true sophomore, he got to the century mark with 106 tackles. I always look for the triple-digit tackles from linebackers. I love it. It translates well. It shows me that they have a nose for the football. There's instincts. They can read everything. Like, it's good. And then he still 13 and a half tackles for loss and 5 more sacks.
Right.
Dude's got 10 sacks as a linebacker, getting 100-plus tackles. 8 pass deflections in those 2 years too. Like, he looks like he could be the complete package at linebacker. We'll see what he does if he stays at 1. But preseason, he's I think he's probably my number 1 linebacker at this point.
Yeah, I will gladly take him over Wade Woodaz, the linebacker that got drafted for this season.
Oh yeah.
That being said, one spot now I'm gonna push back a little bit on this because while I do agree with you, Singleton is getting older and they need to replace him. They might not need a linebacker next year because Red Murdoch is going to step up and be a starter. But even then, you got to pair 2 guys there, right? And so if Sternad's not the guy for you on the other side, they could get real young and real effective in a hurry at linebacker with this pick. Houston's up next, 21, and for me,
you know what's crazy?
Houston,
hold
Denver,
on.
They all kind of had about the same record.
Just real quick. So apparently, it's just funny. I went and looked because I don't have any linebackers ranked. I haven't done it yet. I know the consensus is most people putting the Notre Dame guy up at number 1. I just call him Asa. But how many linebackers do you think I have on my board right now? As in May,
32.
I have 41 linebackers on my board.
And how many usually get drafted in the 20s or something like that?
Not 41. Yeah.
Yeah, not 41. Yeah.
Not
Kingston
41.
Viliamu Asa is who a lot of people have at 1. I'm going to make sure you say that name at some point this year. But he is not going into the spot just yet because Houston doesn't really need a linebacker. King Asa. I like that. Call him King Asa. I'm fine with that. Houston, though, does not really need a linebacker at this point. They need the thing that I've said they've needed for seasons in a row. And while they have put resources there, they've put resources on the offensive line. Keelan Rutledge is probably starting this year. Ariante Ursary should hopefully be better for them this year. But Braden Smith is all right. Blake Fisher still hasn't been able to crack a starting lineup. Jake Andrews and Jarrett Patterson, for some reason, can't get it straight. Point is, they still need more bodies. And you brought this name up, and he's the next guy on the list at tackle, and it's Trevor Goosby out of Texas, who some people have as tackle 1 right now. Some people over the moon about him.
I see the potential. I see all the potential with him.
And that's the fun part when you're looking at these players is, okay, there's potential, but is he going to realize the potential? And again, he has the size, right? 6'7" and 315-ish, something like that, which means he's got a little bit of body he can put on there. And he had a very good year last year at Texas. There's no doubt about that. But if he does it again, he might be higher than this too. So this is a very interesting tackle class because there's probably 4 or 5 tackles that we like. And I'll be curious to see how they shake out when it comes to the season. So Goosby goes to Houston where he can be a plug-and-play guy at either tackle. You'll be good to go with him starting off this season. Chicago's up next, and tackle could technically be an option for them. We made a pick.
Such a value pick here if this guy pans out.
If this falls the way this board does, which of course it totally will, because we're only like 11 months out from the draft, so of course it's going to fall this way, right? But Dylan Stewart, who's, again, some people have as edge rusher 1, is sitting here because of where we think guys are going to end up getting valued as they go through this. And again, like Tankathon has him as their 6th-ranked player. There's certainly a world where he ends up at that point. I don't think he's earned that yet, personally, because, again, this is a guy who had 4.5 sacks last year. So he has the body style, right? He has the measurables. He has the potential. But again, just like Lenora Sellers, who, by the way, you haven't heard his name yet, Nick Harbor, haven't heard his name yet. Spoiler alert, not going to hear those names. South Carolina players have not met the moment yet. This is a great year for them to do so. We'll see what happens. Dylan Stewart, though, Chicago has a glaring need at edge rusher, in my opinion. And so he can step in there and really help them out and really annoy you. So I'm on board with it. Works out. New England.
Yep, Chicago's doing a great job at that. Hey, here we go. This is a way. You know what? If the draft were to go this way, the only way that would make me get over Chicago getting a player like Stewart so quickly is if New England comes in just with the quickness, and I don't care if he's ranked around 50. Okay? I don't. And let's be honest. When this time of year, there's players that we're not even talking about. They're probably ranked in the 200s that are going to end up in the first round.
Well, look.
So this
Grayson Halton last year was in the 200s for a while. Well, you were touting him as a guy who should have been up higher than that.
That's all right. Everybody can leave this guy in the 50s because Detroit can get him on the back end. And I would be perfectly fine with it. But as a guy I talked about quite a bit last year because he was eligible to come out until he just decided not to, it's Bray Hubbard, safety from Alabama. I'm telling you, he probably would have been in my top 6 pack in last year's draft.
Sure.
Okay? So he is a top 6 candidate in this. Wow.
Ooh, all right.
The crazy thing, I say candidate. Last year, he would have been a lock for the top 6. But this draft is infinitely more talented. Yeah. So I don't know.
Where does he line up?
Huh?
Him versus Thieneman.
Damn near dead even. If you're talking,
that's fun.
It's tough because if you're talking like the football player and just like they're both such smart players. I feel like I feel like I lean a little bit towards the cerebral part of Bray Hubbard, but I knew the whole time that Thieneman was a freak athlete. I said that throughout the whole season. I could see it on tape. This guy's going to light the combine on fire. He did. I don't see the athlete in Hubbard that I do in Thieneman.
Right at that level, but he's still a good enough athlete. He's
a good enough athlete.
Thieneman
He's
level.
just
Sure.
So they're pretty damn.
So what
close.
happens? Okay, you've got England taken. What happens if he goes one spot ahead to Chicago?
Oh gosh, if Hubbard
they got you 2 safeties back-to-back years. Oh my goodness, it'd be so much fun.
Yeah, but they're not going to go safety back-to-back, so I don't got to worry about it.
Yeah, I know. It's my little dream for me. That'd be beautiful.
Yeah, I bet it is.
New England, though,
I bet it
great
is.
pick for them, especially when there's rumors of Christian Gonzalez maybe going to Philadelphia, depending on how the A.J. Brown trade goes. That he could be included in that package.
That'll
I'm doing
never
that mostly
happen.
to mess with you. Some
It'll
people say
never
because of
happen.
numbers, because they got to pay Christian Gonzalez. I
Included in that
There's-
package.
no.
I wouldn't trade Christian Gonzalez for A.J. Brown straight up.
Yeah, I know, right? That's why I find that funny that someone's throwing that out there, because this is what you do when you know something's gonna happen, right? We're a month away or a few weeks away from rather when that trade can technically be consummated, and we all believe it's gonna happen with New England. And people just start throwing stuff out there because they're trying to do a different take than the one we've been doing for 2 months. The Chargers, who again, I have the Chargers just missing the playoffs. You have the Chargers just missing the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So I think
we're gonna have to do a bet on that one.
Well, potentially, yeah. I think because we're going to let those bets breathe until we know where things are at closer to the start of the season.
I don't remember any of our bets, by the way, except for the David Bailey catches Howell. That's it.
Yeah, that one's happening. I'm going to have to go
because
back
I can't
through and
wait
try
to just destroy you on that one.
Yeah, well, you're probably going to be making you're getting a bottle out of that, no doubt about that. But at any rate, the Chargers are in a position where, yeah, borderline playoff team for me, borderline Super Bowl team for you. So playoffs make sense, right? That's where they end up. And they're a weird team because, again, like you said, it doesn't look like they have a ton of weaknesses. I also don't know how many strengths they have, like really high end outside of their tackles, their quarterback. Hampton, if he stays healthy this year, could be great at running back for them. But that's my point. There's a lot of question marks still for them, which is why I'm less convinced than you are. I would love to see them make a run. We'll see how it goes. That being said, one spot that I think we both agree that they could probably use a little bump is on their defensive line. It was one of the needs I had coming into this draft, and they didn't really address it. They kind of did when they grabbed Nick Barrett as someone who can help, and I do believe he is going to help. But with and Jeremy Caldwell was a guy that you were not that high on. I remember accidentally mistakenly saying you were at one point. Yeah, so that's my point.
Yep. Nope.
They don't have a great D line. So there are some pretty good D linemen in this draft, including one guy that people have at number 1 that you've got probably number 2 on your list, and that's David Stone. 6'3", 315. Oklahoma boy who can come in and stick in the middle there.
I got like a 3-way tie between Ross, Stone, and Moten. Ross
right, okay,
from
Ross,
LSU.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Ross has probably got
the
the highest ceiling.
Sure.
He's probably got the highest ceiling. He might be the number 1 player. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure you'll probably ask me something like that once we're done. He's one of the ones that I felt like probably shoulda, coulda been in this and wasn't. We'll see.
There you go. At any rate, it's a need for them, whichever place they go. D-line helps them solidify what they've got going on there on that defensive side of the ball, especially because we expect the Mike McDonald factor to help them out this year on offense. Philly is next at 25, which is interesting that both of us kind of had them. We didn't have them at the same spot. We had them in a similar spot. You actually had them a little higher than I did. But we both expected them to make the playoffs. But again, they don't. You talked about this. You said a show or two ago that you think Dallas wins that division this year, which
yes, I do.
Not out of the realm of possibility. If their first-year defensive coordinator can sort out themselves defensively, offense shouldn't be a question for them this year. Good chance that they do that. Philly ends up as the 2
if they
team
don't
in that division.
It's because Philly has Cooper DeJean.
Or that. It could be the Cooper DeJean thing. That being said, Philly sliding into the divisional round sounds about right at the edge of that anyways. And if they do end up at this spot, I think part of it's going to be because their pass rush still needs help. Jonathan Greenard, that trade that they did was great, in my opinion. A couple thirds to get him on your team. Yes, you paid him a decent chunk of money to be in that spot. But when you look at the rest of their edge rushers, and I'll take the L on this one, Nolan Smith has not stepped up the way I thought he would. Jalix Hunt is a fun idea, but Keyshawn James Newby should be a fun rotational piece, but Jonathan Weiroo, the guy they got from Kenya that's the rugby player, love the shot shooting there, but they don't have another edge rusher that is ready for prime time right now, and that's where Prince Willeman can come in. And we had the debate. We actually had this back and forth because next pick is Seattle, and it was kind of flip-flopping who's going to go where. I put Umad Mielen here for Philly because Philly generally has smaller edge rushers on the outside. Umad Mielen is more like 245-ish. In that ballpark, and so that kind of fits more their style.
I was trying to talk you into Smith,
and that's my point. So Smith went to Seattle with the next pick because again, when I look at the Seahawks, very complete roster. Still don't know why they took a running back at 32. Talked about that last time, but they are a team that is in very good position with who they currently have. But DeMarcus Lawrence is getting older, right? He's in his 30s. He's not going to continue to be that rush edge as much as we like him. He's just not going to be there forever. And so Anthony Smith, who is probably 6'6", he's somewhere between 260 and 285, is going to be a guy who can step right into that role. He produced last year. If he produces double-digit sacks again this year, he probably doesn't even last this long. But the way things are currently playing out, Seattle takes him at 26. The Jets are up again, at 27. So again, the Jets picked at 5,
Loaded.
7, and 27 in this draft. And again, they took Darian Mensah with the first pick to get their quarterback out of the way. They took Leonard Moore to help him out at corner. And it really, at this point, it's pick who you want. Edge rusher would have been a pick for them if we hadn't just had a few of them go. But when we look at some of the spots where they could probably use a hand on that defense, because again, I do think their offense is in relatively good shape if everybody plays the way they should. Minka Fitzpatrick is getting a little bit older. Depending on how you feel about Andre Cisco as your second one and Malachi Moore, maybe he makes a step up. Maybe VJ Payne does something. But safety is a concern, and KJ Bolden is sitting right there. This is a guy who feels
Awesome
like
pick.
he's going to jump in day one for a team without too much trouble and be starting for them. So Cincinnati, who I had at the 28 spot, if you will, you had them a little bit lower at 24. They end up picking at 28. They are technically they're going to lose in the divisional round is how I've got them going.
I think I did too, didn't I? Or no?
No, you may have had them lose in the wild card. Point is, they're both a playoff team in our opinion because we're expecting Joe Burrow to be healthy and that defense to actually be competent this year.
Well, Joe Burrow
defense
plays a full season every other year, so
right.
Here we go.
No, that'll help the fantasy team.
Yep.
Done.
Maybe I should draft them again this year. Maybe I should.
Stop.
Oh no, I can't use it as a keeper. I forgot we're doing a whole redraft in the redraft
that's
league.
gonna be a whole.
It's
we'll have fun with that.
I just realized
Come around.
that league was like a Dino Junior in a way.
It was.
You know what I mean?
It was a little bit. And now that we're resetting it, we'll have a lot of fun with that coming around August, guys. We'll have a lot of fun because we have to pay way more attention than we have in the past on how the rankings are playing out.
Yep. All right, though. Cincinnati here. I struggled with this one. I mean, you could, like,
you know why you struggled with it? Because I just did it to you again.
You stole Bolden.
Third time.
You did it again. Third time. Bolden was 100% the direction I was going, and I just didn't feel good enough to, because I didn't even really, especially cornerback. When I see people list cornerback as a need, like I just don't, I'm not there yet with a need for corner for Cincy. It doesn't, it's not jiving well. You know, like a lot of the needs that are listed for Cincy, I don't think I agree with. So forgive me, anybody who's offended by this. I just basically I'm like, all right, I don't see anything that's matching the needs very much. So I basically just did a pick of what could make this team more scary. It's essentially what I did.
Valid.
And I went with Jamari Johnson from Oregon. I'm sorry, you pair him with Chase and Higgins and Burrow. Burrow about to throw for 50 touchdowns if he can play a whole damn season with that. You know what I mean? So I was that's literally my rationale. What makes this team the most terrifying? Boom. Give me a superstar tight end.
Yeah, and I think there's good rationale with
potential.
that. Yeah.
I'm not saying he is. This is let me get this out of the way. I don't have either one of these guys in the ballpark of. I mean, they're in the ballpark of the Kenyon Sadiq, but they're not a Loveland, Warren, or Bowers. No, all three of those guys were just ridiculous. But I like
and when you look at what he could potentially add to that offense, like they don't really have a long-term tight end, right? When you look at that team where they're at. No,
because I like Gesicki a lot, but he's just he's older now.
He's getting up there, and he's never quite realized the potential what you thought he would be. Plus, Johnson at 6'5", 255-ish, something like that, is very much a tight end. He's bigger than Sadiq was, so could be a good pickup for them. Detroit Lions picking at 29.
Probably not as good of an athlete, though.
Probably not as good of an athlete. I'll give him that. No one's running a 4.39 this year from a tight end position. Not happening, guys. Sorry. The Lions, though, are picking at 29, which means the Lions technically make the NFC Championship game where they will lose again, according to our predictions here in May. So that's super awesome as a Lions fan. And it's a loss to the Rams, which will be super awesome as a Lions fan. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Right now, what do they need?
This is a crazy good pick for picking as late as we are. I'm just saying, we need defensive backs.
Sure.
Doesn't matter if it's cornerback or safety. Hence the reason why I said Bray Hubbard. I'll take him in a heartbeat.
Right.
Even if Branch and Joseph both come back eventually and are healthy and finish the season strong, we all know that Joseph's length of his career is not expected to be a ton longer. I'm saying that's a weird English.
Yeah. He's
it's not going to last a lot longer. So you got
as long as you'd like it to.
It's not going to hurt to have another safety in it. Who knows?
Right.
In the same fashion where I said that could extend Max Crosby, that could very well. Like if he does manage to come back and play well, if you have another safety where you can give him breaks and like not destroy his degenerative knees, it might extend his career. So that's why I said safety, but defensive back in general.
Yeah, and when you're crunching the numbers too for Detroit, they have probably more mouths to feed than they will be able to when you look at contract extensions that are coming up. And there's a world where, depending on what Brian Branch thinks he can get and what Detroit wants to pay him coming off an injury, those two numbers might not match. As much as you love Branch, Detroit might not be able to afford Branch.
I would also say the exact same thing with Sam Laporta, which is where tight end could be a sneaky need because and I think they might be more likely to pay Branch than Laporta because that back thing.
It's a debate that people who are getting paid a lot of money are going to have to make the choice on because you got Laporta, you got Branch, you've got Campbell that are all up for extensions.
Campbell's getting paid this year.
He will get paid at some point. I'd be like he's the one that's guaranteed to get paid.
Those two will get extended.
Yes,
get extended this year during the season, maybe even before the season. Actually. I called that both of them would get extended on day 2 of the draft, and it didn't happen, so I was wrong there.
Well, Detroit's a little bit pissed that Miami did what they did with A-Chain before they could complete their deal with Gibbs, because now they have to bump up Gibbs even higher, so that sucks, but oh well. But at any rate, CB
Hence
is
the reason
spot.
They should have listened to me and done it on day 2. They always extend people on day 2 of the draft. They do.
Oops. Yeah, but they probably didn't trade away a future third. So.
It's because they didn't make the trade with the Ravens. Usually they don't have any picks. So they got nothing better to do.
Right. Yeah.
Did you see that video?
That.
Sorry, we're way off the tangent. They were trying to move up.
Yeah. And again, since it all worked out for them and where we're at right now, Detroit, Kelly Jones, who is, as you pointed out and remind me, my kind of corner at 6'4". He is the opposite of Emmanuel Forbes when he came out of Mississippi State, barely 6 foot and 150 pounds or whatever. Jones is a big-bodied corner that can go out, and he may not run a 4.2 or anything like that, but he's fast enough to be able to match up with guys, and he's tall enough to match up with pretty much anybody in the league. So definitely a great pickup for Detroit here at the end of the round. Baltimore. This was a slam dunk. It was one of the easiest picks that I made in this draft. Glaring weakness for Baltimore right now is on their offensive line with Tyler Linderbaum being gone. So unless they swing a trade for Bradbury or something from Chicago, if they think Jones can start or whatever have you, Ipani Alaolu is just right there as a center. Probably the top interior offensive lineman coming out of this draft, just about. Slam dunk, piece of cake. Moving on. Buffalo is where we had a little more trouble just because trying to figure out what to do for those guys. They don't have a ton of holes in the roster as well, but they have some spots where they could probably get better. Edge rusher is one of those spots. But they just grab Parker, so you're hoping that works out for you. They could always use more help in the secondary, it feels like, on that team. But one of the things you reminded me of, their tackles are getting up there a little bit. While they do have 2 guys they probably feel good about for this season, when you're in a position like Buffalo is, you got to kind of plan for the future. And so whether it's Spencer Brown or Deion Dawkins, one of those 2 guys isn't going to make it forever, right? And as much as you love Chase Lunt coming out of UConn last year, can't have too many bodies trying to compete on the offensive line. Blake Frazier, we got one Michigan guy in here.
Hey.
And he is the next guy on our list. That is a true starting tackle
for this
right
point.
Now.
Yep. Totally on board with that.
Plenty of space for things to happen, but tackle kind of makes sense for Buffalo. Last pick in the draft of this draft that isn't going to be anything like what the actual draft is going to be.
The last pick, I went wide receiver here, which I do think is probably their biggest need going into next year because Adams is older. Puka is
who knows? Yeah,
he's
Puka's
so good.
A slightly
he's
more
so
well-behaved
good.
Rashee.
But is he?
Can we make sure that those two never hang out?
Jeez, oh Pete,
Let's
that'd
just
be
never
a good
let
time.
them hang out.
It'd be a good time.
Okay, they're not hanging out unless we get to hang out with them.
There you go.
Be an interesting night. There's no doubt about that.
But I did go wide receiver here, and most people are going, why the hell didn't Ryan Coleman Williams go? Well, he's still not going to go. I'm sorry. He wasn't even the best wide receiver on his team last year because Jeremy Bernard was better than he was, and Jeremy Bernard didn't go in the first round. So there's no world, based on what I've seen so far, where I'm putting Ryan Coleman Williams. It may be the fact that he added Coleman. Maybe he's a different guy. Maybe he comes in. Last year it was just Ryan Williams. Yeah, get rid of that because last year was not what it was expected to be. But I'm still until he, proves to me that he can be first round worthy.
Mm-hmm.
I currently have 2 other wide receivers ranked above him.
Well,
I have KJ Duff and Nick Marsh both above him, and I was torn which way I wanted to go. I ultimately went with KJ Duff here, but
can't have too many tall wide receivers, man.
No, and I felt like KJ Duff just filled the Devontae Adams role a little bit better than Nick Marsh.
I think
Nick
I
Marsh
would agree.
Is so
with that.
good, though. He's so good.
Nick Marsh is very good. Well, Marsh, we're going to find out this year how good Nick Marsh is because he should be on a good team, and he's not, toiling amongst the Michigan State players right now. But yeah, it's an interesting debate. But again, Duff at 6, maybe 6 potentially, and 220. He's just a matchup nightmare, man. 1,000 yards as a sophomore. Come on now.
Yeah, I got to think having a big target
If
like that,
out.
A, will be fun with Stafford as long as he's there, and B, will be much of a friendly target for Ty Simpson.
Sure.
Let's just say that.
So real quick, I want to do 2 things to wrap this up here. One, I want you to give me a 6-pack of guys that we probably should have had in here that we didn't.
Oh, boy. Well, Jordan Ross is probably potentially my top guy that could have been. Let me go to my board real quick and just look at some names.
I will say this, like Amari Washington is a guy that a lot of other people will have on the list, but he's trending to our Kedrick Falk kind of guy this year, where he might just be an embargo that we have until he shows us otherwise.
He's in there too. Anthony Smith, as I had already previously mentioned, is definitely in there. Anthony Smith, we did have him go?
Yeah, he went to Seattle.
How did I? Oh, okay. I was going to say, how did I
because I just doubled up on edge rushers and threw you off.
Man, let me see.
Because
I'm trying not to do like consistent. Dude, why? Well, Nick Marsh obviously would have been in there. Even Deuce Robinson, the wide receiver from Florida State, could easily work his way in here.
Ahmad Hardy,
Williams,
figuring
obviously.
He's healthy. Ahmad Hardy could be the one running back that goes. And again, you mentioned, I don't know if there's any other linebackers, like Kingston would probably go. King Asa. It might go, depending on how things shake down.
Dude, I think I might have Biles, the guy who transferred from Pittsburgh to Texas, on my radar. Yeah, he's probably higher on my radar. I mean, a lot of the edge rushers, though, I really like this edge rusher class. I mean, Damon Wilson Jr., Kenyatta Jackson, at safety, Tay Johnson. I actually almost took Tay Johnson a couple times in this thing. Will Help, a guy that you and I both like from Clemson, has 2 players. Maybe
it's amazing.
And
you like him too.
Finally on board.
That's the surprising part. I will mention this name, considering neither of us had him in here. He's still probably my favorite quarterback that is never going to put it together. And Lenore Sellers, I just wish it could work.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Trinidad.
Trinidad already put it together. He's just 6 foot and 200 pounds and old. So unfortunately, none of those things are working in his favor. That's the challenge of Trinidad, man. I love Trinidad, but he doesn't translate. Now, I mean, he's basically Baker Mayfield style at this point.
As of today, I need to know where Trinidad and Lenore Sellers are in your quarterback rankings, roughly.
Well, I want to point out that I have not actually organized these
recently. Either. So I said roughly.
But right now, they're at 4 and 5.
Oh, wow. Okay. I do have a top 12.
Goes. Should be fun.
I do have a top 12 quarterback ranking.
Doesn't mean
I've got like 30 on there. I just only put 12 in order. And I have Sorsby with an asterisk because I don't know what's happening with him. He's
no clue what's going on with him.
Yeah,
that's what I do have. That'll be fun for the offseason for us.
I have Chambo at 7 and Sellers at 9.
All right, well, that's not terrible then. They're still at least draft-worthy players, right? So, and again, those are guys you take a shot on because they're exciting and because, you might be able to do something with them. All right, one more thing I want you to do, and then we'll call it good for this show. Give me a 6-pack of players off the top of your head that are in that 3rd round or later conversation that you think could pop and be first-round conversation. Just off the top of your head, throw some names out at me.
Jeez.
That you think
I haven't even thought about
sleeper type guys.
Well, I mean, the first one, it's not 3rd round, he's 2nd round, but Bray Hubbard is obviously there.
Yeah, obviously.
I would say,
he's
right now, I haven't looked at anybody else's rankings, but
sure.
Like, where are all those edge rushers I was talking about? Where's, Anthony Smith at? Where's Rhodes at?
Rhodes is top. So I'm looking at Tankathon right now. Rhodes is sitting at 24. Wilson's at 40. Pierre's at 46, so he counts for you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Manny Allen's
Pierre
57 according to them,
Hubbard.
so he's out there.
Who? Yeah, he's
Helps
in
at
there.
43.
We're saying
So basically, Anthony Smith is 51. So basically, it's the edge rushers for you.
and Bray Hubbard.
And the reason why
Where's Tate Johnson?
is because I don't see Johnson on here. They may have him down as a linebacker. I don't know. But
I like Tate Johnson.
Yeah, no.
What about my offensive tackles? Where's Locke at?
Locke is in that 44, so he's still kind of in that same ballpark. There, Blake Frazier at 68. So, and again, this is going off Tankathon. If we go off like mock draft database, they've got Locke at 65, so he's kind of down there as well. If you look at the edges, the edge group generally goes Simmons, Stewart. People still like Mateo, and then it's the Quincy Rhodes.
Where's
Damon
KJ
Wilson.
Duff?
KJ Duff. Are people putting KJ Duff on the list is the question. He's 84 on mock draft database.
There's the lowest guy on.
Tankathon 63. So still, I think KJ Duff, who could stay. He's a junior, so he's a true junior.
He could.
He hypothetically could, but again, the if he thinks he's gonna be a first rounder, he might come out. But we talked about too with the amount of money these guys get paid. If you think you're gonna be a first rounder, but you also think you can get up to the top half of the first round next year, there's $20 million plus in your rookie deal between the top 5 picks and the bottom of the first round. So totally get where these guys come from trying to stay in school. As much as we joked about Trinidad Chambliss should have come out this year because it was a much weaker quarterback class, I get why he stayed. He was going to make more money. He's probably going to make close to what his rookie deal would have been this next year at Ole Miss. So I get it, but also how much are you harming yourself for next year? All that stuff will be fun to figure out. So you and I will continue to look ahead as we go forward into the offseason, into everything else. But we're going to look back for the next show, dude. We're redrafting 2025.
Oh, yeah, that'll be interesting.
Should be very entertaining as we go back through and take a peek at what went on in the yesteryear as we try to figure out what in the world we're doing going forward with draft.